Hey everyone, how are you guys? I hope you guys are doing extremely well. Today is day 8th of my 30 days of talking to camera challenge. The date today is 27th of July 2023 and currently the time is 11:30 pm and the day is Thursday. So let's start. As I had told yesterday that from now onwards I won't be speaking about my day and what I am doing in my life because my days are going very boring and I'm just repeating everything. So from today I will speak on a topic, I will speak on my experience or I'll try to provide some value to you. Today the topic on which I had decided to speak is 5 ways of problem solving. So these are 5 steps which you need to keep in mind before solving any problem in an interview. So what are those 5 steps? The first step is constraint. The second step is idea generation. The third step is complexities. The fourth step is coding, and the fifth and the most important step is testing. So let's talk about the first step, which is constraint. Constraint is something like what are the edge cases of the problem. We shouldn't try to solve a problem without knowing it properly. We should ask questions to the interviewer who is trying to ask our problem. See, this is not an exam going on where the problem would be well defined. We should ask question to the interviewer about things in the problem. We should not assume that anything which I am thinking is correct way to solving the problem. Clarify the problem. We should clarify the problem and then try to solve it. Let us take an example. Suppose we are given an array to solve. So what are the constraints? What are the questions that we may ask to the interviewer? First, is the elements in an are integer or they are floating numbers, or they are decimal, or they are long? First we should ask the type of the elements. Then we could ask interviewer that what's the data size, are the data thousands or they are in billions. So likewise we need to ask the interviewer what are the likewise we should ask the interviewer other questions also. Suppose in the interviewer asks a question that which is the best sorting algorithm. So any person who is not asking question straight away will tell the best sorting algorithm is quicksort. The quicksort is taking n log n time. But no, this is not the correct approach. First we need to ask. Suppose I ask which is the type of data that is present in the array. So the interviewer says it is integer. Then I ask what is the range of data. Then the interviewer says it would be integer. So now after asking few questions, then I will ask like what is the data particularly. So the interviewer says, suppose the interviewer says it's the age of people. Now I know the age of people can be from 0 to 151. It can't be more than that. The age can't be more than 150. So now I know the range, I know everything. Now I can think of a sorting algorithm, that is bucket sort, and I know if I apply bucket sort in this case, then I will get the answer in big O of n time. So the quick sort will take n log n time and the bucket sort will take big O of n time. So it's very important to understand the complexities, to understand the constraints of the question by asking the interviewer proper questions. Understanding the constraint of the problem by asking the interviewer proper questions. So we should always try to first understand the question before trying to solve them. So I have prepared some questions which you need to ask. Suppose you are given something for array. So what are the questions that you can ask for an array? It works both for arrays of strings or array of numbers or array of integers. First you need to ask that how many elements are there in the array. You can ask this question from the interviewer. Then you can ask that what is the range of the elements in the array. What is the min and max value of the elements of the array? These are the cases if there is number present in the array. Then we can ask is what is the type of data present in an array? Is that data integer, or is that data double, or is that data float or decimal or something like that? So second thing, we can also ask that does the array contain any duplicates or any unique data? So these are the questions which we can ask for array. If the array is of string, then we can ask that what is the length of strings in the array. These are the questions that we should ask our interviewer if the interviewer gives any questions of array. Suppose the interviewer gives us a question of graph. What are the questions that we can ask? We can ask what is the number of nodes in that graph? What is the number of edges in that graph? Is there a loop? Is the graph directed or not? Is the graph weighted? So these are the type of questions that we can ask in case of graph. So now let's move on to our second point, which was idea generation. So what is idea generation? Idea generation means basically not solving the problem as it arises. Instead going to solution by talking to our interviewer, by it basically means approaching the solution together, discussing what can be the. If you already know the problem, then also you need to discuss it with the interviewer and gradually approach the solution. And what if there is an unseen problem? See, you may come across an unseen problem. So what's the solution? The solution is quite simple. You need to practice a lot. You need to have a lot of practice in different types of problems, so that when you see an unique and a new problem, then you have an idea that how I can approach the problem. Second step is simplify the task. Break down the problem into smaller sub problems and try to solve each sub problem individually, and then combine all the problems. Think of the suitable data structures that you will apply in them. Think of the various correction frameworks. Suppose you are in Java, there are many correction frameworks. In C++ also there are many predefined data structures which you can use. So think of all that. Try fewer examples, try fewer test cases, like try fewer small examples to solve that problem. So this is the idea generation process. But one thing most important is practice. You should try to solve more than hundreds and many questions before trying to go to an interview. So now comes the third point, which is complexity. Many times when you solve a question, after solving a question, we should try to reduce its complexity. Many times if increasing a little bit of space reduces a lot of time, then we should do that. Suppose I have solved a question which is taking log n time, and I can reduce it. It is taking log n time and the space complexity is big of n. But if I can increase the space complexity of n log n and reduce the time to and reduce its time, so we should do that. We should always try to optimize our code, optimize our problem. The code is more appropriate if it works for larger set of data instead of smaller set of data. If my code is giving faster result for smaller set of data, but it is giving slower result or inappropriate result for larger set of data, then I should optimize it in such a way that it may take long time for short amount of data, but it should give me more accurate answer if I provide is large amount of data or long data sets. So this is complexity. Now next phase, coding. So now when you have done everything, it's important to write the code. We often have practiced in writing code in various code editors like VS Code or Notepad or something like that. So we don't have any practice of writing the code on paper and on Notepad, where we don't have any guidelines. We can't run the code every time to see the errors. We don't get red underline where we make any errors. So it's important to practice questions by writing on paper. It's very important. We should also try to learn concepts like object-oriented programming and different concepts of concepts of objects and inheritance and polymorphism. If you are coding in Java, I have been coding in Java, that's why my language is like little bit Java-ish. So we should try to make methods, we should try to make functions and call them and make the code more simpler and more readable. We should not repeat everything. We should try to use more and more collection classes. We should try to use more of the classes which are already defined in Java. So this is coding part, and after writing the code, it's very important to test few examples. First, you can take few examples. Suppose you have given to sort a linked list. So what we can do is, first we could take a linked list of like 3 elements, then we could take a linked list of 4 to 5 elements. So we could take 2-3 examples like this. Then we should take an edge case. Edge case is something like, what if the linked list is null, or what if the linked list has only one node. So we should consider these edge cases. And the third type of test case which we need to consider is, what if we provide a very large amount of data, like thousands and millions of billions of nodes. Linked list which has thousands and millions of nodes. What will happen in that case? So we should consider all these test cases and try to solve this. So I hope all these 5 steps are clear. To summarize it, let me tell you once more. So the first step is constraints, asking right questions to the interviewer who is taking your interview. The second step is idea generation, not trying to approach to the problems directly. First, try to reach to the idea, try to reach to the optimal solution by discussing it with your interview. And if you don't know the question, if the question is unseen to you, so in that cases you should try to practice a lot of questions. And the third is complexities. Try to optimize your code as much as possible. Fourth is coding. and fifth is testing. For coding, you need to practice writing code on paper, and for testing, it's very important that you should consider some simple cases, some edge cases, and some cases which includes large amount of data. So thank you everyone, that's all for this video. I hope I was able to provide a little bit of value to your life. Forgive me if I was like looking too much here and there, because this is currently my day 8 of recording the video. I hope my confidence has increased a little bit and my English speaking skills has also increased a little bit. I can't say all that. Only you are the ones who can judge me. Currently no one is watching my videos and I have 0 views, but now I think that anyone should watch the videos, because now I am providing some valuable insights. Till now I have been only sharing my day, but sharing my day was nothing valuable. These insights which I am sharing is valuable, because I read a lot of books and lots of articles to gain this knowledge, which I try to share with my viewers. So yeah, that's all for today. Thank you everyone for watching this far. Thank you again. Bye bye.